Test. Test. All right, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about things going on down here in Brazil. At least just to have an idea of what the route looks like. So I just want to test this and make sure that it's working okay. But for some reason, my video isn't working, but no problem. We'll see what happens here. So anyway, this is the route driving out to the countryside in Brazil. And if you look, these roads are a little bit rough down here in Brazil, but there is kind of a unusual situation down here. Now a lot of the roads in Brazil are private roads, so you have to pay a toll to drive down these roads. And we won't see one in this video. I'll show one in another video. But this area right here, it's a little bit crazy driving through this road. It's kind of crazy driving through all the roads, but the cars, you really have to watch it driving through here, because you never know who's going to pull out. And you also have to slow down for these radars too. They have a lot of radars hidden in various places on the roads. So this is sort of an industrial area. This is in the town of Macaé, or city of Macaé. And around this area right here, this is kind of where most of the dealerships are. And some of these types of businesses, construction companies, but this is like the main entrance into the city. So over on the left side, there's some, to the right there's a hospital, to the left there's some places like the federal court and places like that. But pretty much right here we're pulling out of the city, but we're still in the city, and I'll explain that. Now, in the United States you have counties, but in Brazil they don't have counties. They have places called prefects. So they're not really a city either. You have the area where the town is, but they usually classify these as neighborhoods. Now we're actually going to pass through a couple of towns. We're going to go like out in the middle of nowhere, and you're going to see us pass through a couple of different towns here, but in reality these are not really towns. They're part of the same city, which is Macaé, but they're classified as neighborhoods, kind of. I don't know. It's a little bit strange. But if you see a place that's called a city in Brazil, it's usually more like a county, and then the neighborhoods are more like small towns or cities. I guess it could be neighborhoods too, depending on how big the city is. Like if the city is metropolitan enough to cover up the entire city district, then it could have, it might be more than that. It depends on the place. Brazil's sort of a weird place. They don't have, like in the United States, you could become incorporated to a city, or you could be unincorporated, like you see a lot of these small towns. You don't really have these options in Brazil. Everything's sort of like set forth by the government, and everything has to kind of stay the way it is. And there's no, once you're in something, you can't really separate. Like they did have sort of a civil war quite a while ago, around the time, probably about 100 years ago. And part of Brazil tried to separate from the other part, and it didn't go too well, and a lot of bombs were dropped by like those two-wing planes, like the old-timey planes, and that kind of ended the situation. So one side had more firepower than the other. Now this is kind of driving through the rural area, and there's a quarry over to the left side. And here's like the main highway. We're not going to get on the main highway, but we just went under it. And that's Highway 101. It goes to the city of Rio de Janeiro. Anyway, we'll continue driving up into the mountains here. And it's kind of interesting. You're going to go into the mountains, but the altitude is not going to change too much. But the place that we arrive in in this video is almost to the foothills of the mountains. After that, you start going up some pretty steep grades to get into the mountains. So most of, actually this city right here, this city has the most cows or the most cattle of any city in Rio, I believe. In or yeah, any city in the state of Rio. It might be in Brazil, but I think it's just in the state of Rio. So there's a lot of cows here. You'll see. I don't know if you'll see any here, but there are a lot. Now this bus in front of me, it goes on about an hour trip, more than an hour, I think, and it cost about 20 cents to take this bus, less than 20 cents. So you could go for more than an hour on this bus, and this bus goes like every hour, and usually it's packed full of people. So I don't know if it's always like that, but I usually see it like packed to the gills. But somebody, problem is a lot of people, they don't understand the economics of it, and they think, oh, I get a 25-cent bus or a 20-cent bus. Like in Brazil, it's one real. It's kind of like a dollar, and it'd be a good deal in some cases, but it's subsidized, so they have to pay taxes for it. So it's possible that the subsidies that they have to pay could, be the tipping point for a lot of them to be able to buy a car. Now, this area right here, this is a national park right here, or state park or something, some kind of park, but it's land that cannot be touched. And one of the interesting things is that when you drive through that area, the temperature drops about, it seems like 10 degrees whenever you go through it. So, one thing to say is that when you cut down trees, it does increase the temperature. I don't know if it affects anything, but like it is a lot cooler in that area. And, interesting fact. Now, going through these farms, now we're getting ready to go into a city here. And in the city, there is, this is called Gold Creek, Córrego de Ouro, and it means Gold Creek. Now, I don't know if there's any gold here, but if you want to attract people to come live in your town, give it a name like Gold Creek. It's like Iceland and Greenland. Everybody, well, I don't know if everybody knows this, but a lot of people seem to understand that they called it Iceland because they didn't want people coming there. And Greenland has much more ice than Iceland. And they called the other place Greenland to try to get more people to come there. More Vikings. Now, if that's the truth, it's interesting, but maybe that's the case here. Why they called it Gold River. It's like why they might call a place Sweetwater. So, who knows? Maybe like a place that's called like Bitter Creek or something like that. They might have actually gotten it. It might actually be a really nice place, and they just didn't want anybody to know about it. So it's a little town here, but it's still considered a neighborhood of Macaé. So it's not really a town. Like in the perspective of the United States, we would call it a town, a small town, but it is far separated. Now up through here, kind of these people are like right off the road. I don't know why they would want to build so close to the road. At least maybe they didn't have much land. But it's always kind of a problem because there's people in the middle of the street sometimes. Now, if you going up here, now you see that area up there, that they call that place Sierra da Cruz. In Portuguese it's Serra da Cruz, but it's a sierra, like we would say in the United States. And the word Sierra, it actually means like saw, like saw teeth. You know, when they say, when they're talking about the mountains, is, you know, I guess they started calling them that because it's shaped like a saw. You know, I guess the same thing in Spanish too. I'm not sure. I'm not a Spanish. I'm not really that good at Spanish. So the name of that peak over to the top right is called. You know, I don't know if you can saw it. You'll be able to see it again later on, I think. But it's called Fraude, which means like friar in Portuguese. And I guess they called it friar because it has that hump on the back, and I guess a friar wearing the clothing or whatever sort of fits that description. But so this is a little place called Trapiche, and Trapiche is the name is associated with like a I don't know, like a storage area. So this little town here, it's now I lived here for a couple of years, and this is a pretty nice little place. A little hospital right there, or medical center. Very quiet, peaceful place. A lot of nice people here, but it's a nice place to live. But coming to the end of the road here, and I'm gonna go ahead and end this live stream. But if anybody watched it, thanks a lot for watching. And this is my first time, so I apologize for any terrible, terrible filming here. But I, you know, like I said, this is my first time, and I am definitely not ready for this. But you know, if anybody, let's see, see if I can show my face here. Okay, yeah, I wasn't able to do it on the other one. I don't know if it's because I had this video going and it wouldn't let me do it multiple times. But thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to ask any questions. Take care, and talk to you later. Signing out here.